Who are some of the anglers that have changed the sport for the good and the bad? In this case, the bad. This is the Mike Long story. If you're new to the channel, my name's Steve Chapman. I want to say welcome to the people who are been here for a long time. This is probably a story most anglers know about, but I wanted to bring it to a lot of people's attention because there's a time and a place where we need to look back and look at the people who have changed the sport, who have changed the hobby. I believe the walleye anglers changed it just a few years back. And then in 2019, Mike Long definitely changed how everything is looked at. Because we've had anglers like Rick Clunn and KVD and Roland Martin and Bill Dance and Ray Scott and many, many others. And a lot of those anglers changed the game. They change the way we do things. And then other people like Mike Long change it for a drastically different reason. And this Mike Long story is one that most anglers know about. Now, Mike Long was well recognized in the early 2000s as the big bass guru. He caught hundreds of fish over 10 pounds. He caught 82 over 15 pounds, and he caught one over 20 pounds. And when you have those kind of stats, you are doing something right. He was put on publications, magazines, he had articles written about him, and he won lots of tournaments with and without other anglers. And Mike was a very successful tournament angler. And over his 8.5 years, he won over $150,000. And Mike Long won 35 tournaments. And when he fished by himself, he won 55% of the tournaments he was in. When he had a co-angler, he won 25% of the tournaments he was in. And in California, there were a lot of anglers and tournament organizations that questioned, why is he so good when he's by himself? Why is he winning 55% when he's by himself, and why is he winning 25% when he was with a co-angler or a partner? And people questioned what was going on. And after lots of partners telling other anglers, he isn't that good of an angler, he can't use a bait caster, he really isn't very good, he isn't catching any fish when we are out together, it brought a lot of speculation and controversy that Mike Long wasn't as good of an angler as he claimed to be, and that maybe something fishy was going on. And then the world came crashing down on Mike because of one journalist that did his due diligence and looked into everything that was Long related and figured out that Mike Long was more of a con man than a bass guru. He was a tournament cheater that won big bass bounties and lake records by illegally snagging fish or borrowing a friend's fish. And like I said, there were many of his partners that said he wasn't even a good angler, not even an average angler. They talked about how he couldn't use a bait caster for 3 years. And they questioned, how did he do so well? One of his partners was convinced Long was snagging fish, putting them in a live well, then keeping them at his house until the tournament happened. He put them in a fish tank, in a holding tank. And then when the tournament happened and nobody checked his live well, here's a giant fish. And where things really got sketchy is when Mike called and bragged about how he had caught a 13-pound bass to his buddy. And then several days later in a tournament, he won with 28 pounds. And his kicker fish was a 13-pounder. That started the cycle of people starting to look into everything that Mike Long was doing. And after all that suspicion of Long snagging fish, a journalist named Ellis that was part of the community over there spent a decade, almost a decade, investigating Mike Long. And this investigator had a network of friends that as Mike Long would show up, they would tell him that he was on this pond. And he would go out there, bring out telescopes, bring out video equipment, dressed in camo, and would watch him over a month span during 11 days and almost 50 to 60 hours to try to figure out what Mike was doing. And during that time, he caught him on video snagging a giant with a treble hook in its side of its belly. And Mike claimed he had caught it, but he had it on video that hook was on the side of the belly, which is illegal in California. Really, snagging fish is illegal in most places. And he had that video and brought it to everyone's attention and found out that Mike Long was more of a con man than a big bass guru. And I think there's guys in this hobby and sport that move the needle, but there's more that are hurting the hobby. The walleye cheaters, Mike Long, anyone who cheats in a tournament. It hurts this sport and hobby as much as cork bats or steroids in sports. And cheaters need to be dealt with accordingly. And we need to have harsher penalties. Now, we've never heard from Mike Long since. I don't know if he fishes. I don't know anything about him. It's crazy to think that I actually had him on the radio show talking about how great of a big bass guru he was before he got caught. But luckily, Ellis, the journalist who caught him, did catch him. And we're still feeling the repercussions from those days from 2019. And it's scary to think that people want this recognition instead of doing what's right. But is Mike Long the worst cheater and con man, or are the walleye cheaters worse? That's what I want to know in the comments below. So comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Thank you to all the new subscribers, to all the new members. There are new member videos. There will be a live Friday nights on the channel at 8 p.m. So if you want to watch the live video and ask questions and hear interviews and all that stuff, check us out Friday night, YouTube, 8 p.m. But if you're not a subscriber, click that button. It's quick, easy, and it's free, and you'll do me a favor, so thank you. Remember, take your kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.